We are willing to lose in front of clients for the clients to win. Three important things start a business to. One is actually, is there something that you are deeply passionate about? That's one. And another thing is that can you do this thing better than anybody else? Right, that's another one. The third thing is that if you do those two, and are there people that are willing to pay for it?
Are Indian companies more quality conscious or Chinese companies?
If you enjoy such deep dive conversations with real builders and founders, then like, share, and subscribe to the Founder Thesis podcast.
Kalyan, please, can you take us through a little bit of your background? What got you here?
Sure, Akshay. Yeah, thank you so much for having me on the show. Really appreciate it, and looking forward to this conversation. So I've started my career in software testing. That was back in 1998, and I started my journey with my corporate journey with a company named Ban. Ban was an ERP company at that point in time. So I actually started working in the Ban product testing group, and actually really enjoyed that stint. Ban had really solid. Uh, Fundamentally, it was a great company, and actually it focused a lot on software testing as a function. So I really wanted to experience the services side of IT, and actually I went and joined Virtusa. And then after having spent uh, 2 years there, and then actually um then I joined a company named AppLabs. At that point in time, AppLabs was a relatively small company compared to Virtusa. And the AppLabs, what attracted me to AppLabs was just focused on providing software testing services. Unlike Virtusa was actually doing mm, all the services. I mean, the complete spread of IT services, and actually testing services being one of them. But then App Labs had a focus on software testing services, and they were only doing software testing services because I was anyway very keen on building my career in software testing. It made perfect sense for me to join App Labs, and I joined AppLabs, and very quickly I was in the management team of AppLabs, uh, uh, and then I was in AppLabs for almost uh, 10 years, and the entire organization just grew in front of me, and then actually decided to join a company named Signity. Signity, again, at that point in time, was a very even smaller than AppLabs when I joined. So Signity was a relatively like they just had about less than 20 people, and I joined their management team on day one, and I had actually stayed in Signity and all the way till end of 2021. I actually got an opportunity to focus more on the business development side, essentially building the sales organization to open new logos, and also an organization to basically to grow the existing accounts. And I was in Signity almost till the end of 2021, and right after that, the Qualizeal was born, and then about seven people that came together, and I was one of them, and we all had one thing in common, that is passion for software testing. I mean, by then, as you know, the industry. changes the jargons now. Once a decade or so, now it become a quality engineering. So what really drew all of us together is a passion for quality engineering, and then actually we got together and started this in the last quarter of 2021.
Passion for quality engineering does not necessarily imply starting your own venture. Was there a business opportunity? What was the business case for it?
Yeah, yeah, you're absolutely right, Akshay. And just because you're passionate about something doesn't mean that you jump into it as a business, because uh, I read a lot of books. So one of the book that I really like is Good to Great, from Jim Collins. And actually he talks about three important things to really start a business. To One is actually, is this something that you are deeply passionate about? That's one. Another thing is that, can you do this thing better than anybody else? Right, that's another one. The third thing is that, if you do those two, and are there people that are willing to pay for it? Right, I mean, these three things are very important. And I think at that point in time, all seven of us that came together, except one person, everybody else, we were all first time entrepreneurs. And so of course, entrepreneurship was at the back of our mind. But these are the three checks that we had done.
But
And
you
so,
you were already running Signity. You were the president there. Essentially, uh, what was it that you couldn't have done at Signity itself? If you were amazing at delivering quality engineering, you could have done that within Signity. So, what was the reason to start?
yeah, so one thing is that, I sort of, one, there was that, the that each of having something on our own, something on your own, was always there. um, but however, I would say that courage was lacking. Courage to take the first step was clearly lacking. And that was number one. I think number two was also that, if you look at the way things happened in my career, that actually that when I joined AppLabs, it was fairly small. I really enjoyed uh, the building it all the way up to, being part of the journey. And same with Signity, right? And uh, and actually, when you get to a certain size, uh, then actually the administrative work also takes over, uh, doing some real good high end quality work. Doesn't mean that administrative work is not high end quality work, but then, personally, there is a pleasure of building things from the ground up. That always fascinated me. And also very much interested in doing it. And also having seen two organizations up close, um, uh, building something in the quality engineering space. I think that also gave, I would say, both, the experience was always there. What was missing was the courage to do. I think it took me some time to become courageous. And also, we were it was also very clear that the entrepreneurship, the uh, actually the chances of being successful is very high. That that actually if you can build a solid team on day one, and a team that also cares about the collective vision, and also the team that is actually capable of executing on that vision. So I think those are the things that came together to really start something, Akshay.
Was there also a wealth creation incentive that you felt that you can build a business and it can be a large profitable business and large wealth creation opportunity?
Yeah, absolutely. That was also on the mind, but I think what was more important is that uh, you know the challenge of creating something,
Hmm. Okay.
something from the ground up, and actually not proving it to a single individual, but proving it to the world that we can do that too. I think that was the primary driver, and I would say that yes, if you can do that successfully, then wealth creation is something is of a solid but important byproduct.
Got it. Understood. The seven of you who came together, was it engineered or was it a lucky collection of seven? Like, I mean, was it engineered in the sense that did you feel that, okay, I need one finance guy, I need one this guy, I need one that guy, and so therefore, given that I need these people, these roles to be filled, these are the best people to fill those roles. Was that how it happened? Was it that a group of seven friends got together and started QualiZeal?
Uh, uh, Not really. That's a great question. It was more of like who can be part of this venture, um, and uh, and then actually having some offline talks about it, and then actually coming together. Yes, we want to do it. Then actually we went about identifying who do what. So I would say it's less of a identifying what needs to be done and then fitting people into it. It's more of getting the right-minded people sharing the common vision, then figuring out who will do what.
Would
Akshay.
you do the same thing again? Like friendship over role fitment?
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. Any day. I guess what also. I mean, there were some things, and I would say probably 2 months, 3 months into the journey, clearly figured out that there were some parts of the organization that actually none of us really had skills. I mean, to run it world class. I mean, we all have skills to run it at a surface level, but we are here to create a world class company. So we clearly knew that we didn't have it, and so then we had to go acquire those skills, and then in some sense mm, uh, you know um, create enthusiasm in ourselves, some sort of a um, faking that with enthusiasm to acquire those
Okay.
skills,
Okay.
right? Because that's also very important, and then going and acquiring those skills and running it, because we at that point in time
What's
we
an
didn't do
example
it.
of like?
I would say one of the example was finance.
Okay, interesting. Very interesting. Okay. So, you know, what is the advantage someone like you all who have seen the industry have over somebody who's very young and starting a business? Like, what's the advantage that you get at your stage of life when you start a business?
Uh, I w- I would say that uh, I mean there are both advantages and disadvantages. At every stage of life, depending on what you're dealing with. And I would say that especially on the business side of things, we had enough experience and expertise in terms of convincing a client to give business to us, and also uh, the necessary expertise to be able to deliver compared to any other company that is out there. So that was always there on day one. For example, I could be sitting across the table with the CIO of a Fortune company, and actually, you know, and doesn't really have to rely on the strength of the QualiZeal. I mean, there's also things that we have done in the past, and that will come very handy. Actually, that was definitely there. And also, I would say another thing by then. Uh, I don't think none of us are completely financially independent per se, but at the same time, uh, accumulated enough, and so that we can actually we built ourselves, I would say, enough runway, right, to last, even without single dollar in revenue. I mean, that runway we had was almost about 18 to 24 months of runway was created on day one.
Okay.
So
So
essentially, we had 18 to 24 months to fail. So we are not looking at 6 to 12 months to fail.
Okay. Um, so these are like, tactical advantages that it is easier to sell, and the ability to deliver, like you don't need to experiment and learn how to deliver. You already know how to deliver. What about from a mindset perspective? Like, what is the mindset which a 45-year-old founder, first time founder brings to the table, which a 25-year-old founder you that you would advise a 25-year-old founder to have, something which as a 45-year-old founder you bring to the table, first time founder.
I would say that I would say that 45 year old founder might be approaching things with a lot more pessimism
Okay,
and
okay.
being realistic about things, and probably the 25-year founder may be approaching it from a lot of optimism, I guess, from a mindset of point of view, because all the time, when making business plans, when thinking about things, all we were thinking about is that in what different ways it can fail, as opposed to in what all spectacular ways it can grow. So right, so and the good thing is that the team is basically a good mix of optimist, pessimist, and realistic people. It's a good combination. So there was always that multiple views, and often, especially in the early days, contradicting views, and so that helped a lot in balancing things, Akshay.
I think there's one more thing which you mentioned, which I think really is a massive difference in mindset. Is you said we are here to build a world class organization. uh, I don't think a 25-year-old founder understands that kind of mindset, right? Like, to build a world-class organization, what does it mean? Like, can you talk to me a bit about that?
Yeah. So like for example, from day one, we were very clear that actually we want to offer the mm, the best possible quality engineering service that is out there. And also, we were a client-centric organization from day one. And one of the principle that actually we wrote it down, and even now we live by, is that we are willing to lose in the short term to gain in the long term, right? And we are willing to um, lose in front of clients, for the clients to win, right? So the client centricity was very very important to us, because and also we are looking at more of a lifetime value of the client, as opposed to uh, the initial project and the project after. And that was one which was world class. I think a lot of organizations sort of struggle with that concept in their minds, but I guess we never had any doubt about the philosophy of willing to lose in the short term versus gain in the long run. That was one. And the another one was also that we know that we are building an organization that has to really scale, and the scaling is only possible if we can hire the right talent, and actually keep them, right? And people may be able to hire. If they can't keep, then actually we are going to have a lot of these revolving door issues. So that was also very important for us, that that actually uh, the whole employee centricity and client centricity were the two principles, and more or less both given equal priority, Akshay.
If I understand correctly, like employee centricity and client centricity is what leads to building a world class organization. And of course, the principle of willing to lose in the short term. Give me an example of willing to lose in the short term, willing to lose in front of the client for the client to win. Both of these principles are very intriguing.
Yeah, so I would say that willing to lose in the short term. I mean, the uh, many IT services companies that are out there, and initially, uh, a lot of companies, a lot of enterprises, they have options, and they would like to. Uh, their procurement departments are looking at a try and buy approach, right? They just want to get a feel for what you can do before they go all out with you. So in those kind of situations, I had seen organizations, right, where they want to calculate margins on day one, and actually are very short sighted about making money on every single project that they do. But we sort of did not approach it like that. We approached it more of we took a top down view of things. Okay, I mean, this is an enterprise that we're dealing with. What is their outsourcing budget? And over a period of if we do well over a period of 2 3 years, can we actually grab 30% of that budget, or 40% of that budget, or 70% of that budget, and approach it more from that way, as opposed to the initial 100K project, how much money that we're going to make, Akshay.
Okay, interesting. And willing to lose in front of clients for the clients to win.
So I would say that there were many situations, wherein actually uh, the uh, the the clients um, are actually have their point of view, and not necessarily that point of view is always correct. And which means that we are not here to correct them on day one. We are here to work with them, understand their processes, culture. And so like, we are not trying to correct them on day one first, and so even if it feels off in the initial days, so in some sense that we focus the first initial the months and quarters of the engagement to really figure out, right, at that point in time, sometime from a logic sense, it may not make right sense whether what they're asking us to do is the right thing or not. But then, since we take a long term view, and so it is okay to basically to let them have their way, and as we are trying to navigate and figure out the overall equation, Akshay.
Okay. When you are doing multi-million dollar deals with companies, uh, don't they expect you to give thought leadership? And isn't giving thought leadership the same thing as telling them that you are doing things the wrong way?
Yes, that's absolutely right. Even we thrive on thought leadership, but again, unless and until you invest um, uh, the amount of time and really understand their world, and then actually even the best advice also will not resonate unless and until it is provided at the right time with the right understanding, and actually so that is more important. Sometimes the same advice, two different people giving it, but one gets accepted, another one doesn't get accepted. There is a reason why it doesn't get accepted. Maybe it's the way that some of the softer aspects of the thought leaderships are equally important, actually.
What influences a client to choose one vendor over another? And I mean, I'm sure the answer here is like a weighted average, so it could be price, it could be pedigree, uh, it could be the quality of the salesperson who's talking to the client, things like those. And these would have different weights, like some would be very important, some would be somewhat important. So, I just want to hear your take on this. What influences clients' decision to choose one vendor over another?
So I would say actually, if especially in the initial days, anyway, now we are totally different. Is that if somebody has to um, uh, take all the parameters, um, like the parameters could be um, the domain experience that we have. It could be the you know since how many years the company had been founded, and the size of the organization, and how many client referrals that we have, and things like that. We have no chance of winning any client. I mean, let's be honest. Uh, because we would fail on each one of those parameters, or we would rank low compared to other established companies that are out there. So the fundamental principle is that people buy from people that they like, uh, considering everything else is the same, and even if it is different. And the second one is that uh, they should feel like here is a company that they can work with even during difficult times. And when things are going well, it's easy to work with. It's easy to work, and the relationship gets really tested during the difficult times. Um, and I think that made a huge difference. That kind of mindset made a huge difference to us, especially um, in onboarding some of the Fortune clients. Actually,
So you said people buy from people. So this is like so if you understand this, then you'll be able to win deals, right? Now, what does it mean to understand this, that people buy from people? How does it influence your behavior when you're in front of a client?
so like what we had seen in many client organizations is that there is a level of service quality that is expected from everybody that they're working with. And actually, uh, some of the projects that we run are also mission critical. So if um, and people's jobs are at stake if some of these projects don't go as well as they are planned. But however, they also want to work with people that are that truly understands what they are dealing with on a day-to-day basis, and are actually willing to change priorities, and willing to do things that are important to them. Not everything can be spelled out in contract. In fact, everything that we do, probably 50% of the things that we do cannot be really articulated into a contract. So that's what I mean by people buy from people. I would say that in many situations, the way that we a problem is really an opportunity for us to build a relationship with a client. So the issues and uh, are there in every project, and that's part of a day-to-day life, and that is the reason why so many executives are there in solving them. But then, how are we looking at that issue risk? Are we looking at this as an opportunity just to solve that, or are we actually using it to build a relationship, and that will last longer? I think that's the big difference in how we approach things, Akshay.
You're saying that how it would influence your behavior is you would be more willing to drop everything and cater to the client requirement, or like go for a meeting or whatever, show them that you're willing to go the extra mile for them, so that it
Yeah,
gives
show
them
them
that.
that we care, and actually spend a lot of time and energy in understanding their point of view, and I would say more of being mm, showing that empathy, what and really thinking from their point of view. I think goes a long way. Not only you get the problem solved, but then you also build the platform, build the trust that is needed to continue to do business with these folks in the long run. I mean, we had seen many situations in the company where actually a typical decision maker, are changing their jobs like once every 3 4 5 years, and we get a tremendous amount of businesses when they change their companies. They landed somewhere else, and actually they want to prove themselves, and they want to get sort of established in the new organization. And one of the thing that they have in their mind is, actually, I'm going to bring QualiZeal here, and I think they will make me successful. So that's the kind of mindset that we're built with these executives, Akshay.
Okay, amazing, amazing, amazing. Okay, understood. Let's talk a little bit about the industry that you operate in, quality engineering, which earlier was software testing. So, I'm not an engineer. I cannot write a single line of code. For someone like me, can you help me understand what is this software testing slash quality engineering?
Yeah. So, I mean, a lot of enterprises like banks, insurance companies, airlines, cruise lines, manufacturing companies, all of them use software to run their day-to-day business operations. Like I guess it was probably 10 years before, there was this slogan that every company is an IT company, right? Irrespective of the business that you are in, you need to have a very robust IT systems to be in place to run it effectively, irrespective of the industry that you are in. And actually, since IT the systems have become such an integral part of running the day-to-day business operations, and in many situations right now in many industries, IT systems is also a true differentiator for the company. If you could have a better IT system to sell, deliver, and collect revenue, and actually that you can be ahead of other companies in the space. And it could be an insurance company, as an insurance company, that actually, if you can provide a quote with a high amount of accuracy in no time, and also offer your service through multiple channels, and so that can be a true differentiator. I mean, now it's nothing to do with your ability to basically quantify the risk, and also come up with the insurance amount, which is supposed to be the core bed and bread of insurance company. But then actually, if you're using IT systems to do all that very effectively, that can become a differentiator. And but however, those IT systems uh, can also uh, can also become a dragger for your business, especially if those IT systems are not functioning the way that they're supposed to do, if those IT systems have security holes, if those IT systems are unable to scale from a performance point of view, as you um, as you bring in more and more clients, and some of these are real issues, right? So there are for example, having a reservation system, and that does the pricing not accurately, can lead to loss of sale. And having a desk management service desk management, and actually not being able to resolve some of these customer issues quickly, can lead to client attrition. So I would say that the quality engineering is basically is advocating for the end user and within the IT team, and ensuring that we are actually helping to build systems uh, that function correctly, and being part of the IT systems is the core work that we do. Basically, think of the quality management, the quality engineering as the biggest advocate of the end user within the IT project team.
Okay. Uh, but the roots of this is testing, right?
Yes, correct.
The roots of quality engineering is testing. So essentially, it means testing the solution from the shoes of the user, like putting yourself in the shoes of the user and then testing the solution to make sure that the user's experience is not broken at any stage.
Absolutely. I mean, I would say that that's the basic foundation. I mean, it can get a lot more deeper. If that's the end objective, then actually, how do we ensure this from day one of the IT project? That means, how do we closely work with the design team in ensuring that the design is being built in a way that it ultimately satisfies the end user needs. And then how do we partner with software development teams very early on, like writing efficient code, and designing the user interfaces that are easy to navigate, and also with less number of clicks, and with less number of screens, you can get your work done, and things like that. So now, if you look at the quality engineering right now is approached more of a sort of a co-builder, right? Working along with the development teams from day one, and actually proactively ensuring quality, as opposed to reacting it towards the end of the life cycle and trying to find as much as you can, right? So the approach is now more of mm, you know finding those defects early, and when they're actually young.
To me, this sounds a lot like bringing design thinking into creating software products. Is that what it is? Or?
Yeah, in some ways that's what it is. And because also that typical IT life cycle, when it was especially pre-agile days, there was less focus. I mean, probably there was a good amount of thinking um, around what the user wants in the initial phases, but then after that initial phase, which is basically putting together the business case and functional specifications, uh, and then actually for a good amount of time, for many months and years, depending on the complexity of the systems, nobody is really thinking about the user. Everybody was trying to figure out the programming language and databases architecture and writing efficient code, and very little to no thinking about how exactly it is going to be used in the field, right? I think that contributed to a lot of issues, and then actually projects not getting complete, and then even if they're complete, they're not even close to what the business teams wanted. When that was the whole genesis for this entire agile, where it was more of how can we sort of this eat this elephant in pieces, and so that at the end of that actually we produce software faster, and also put a version that can be actually be used by the end users more frequently, and get that feedback and incorporate that feedback into the overall life cycle, right? I guess that kind of it was a similar thinking even within software testing as well. So how do we get that user advocacy, end user advocacy into the IT project teams earlier than later.
Okay. So you're saying that the way software was built earlier was the way, let's say, a highway is built. Like there will be a plan drawn out that this is how the highway is to be built, and then all the different stakeholders will go ahead and start executing it. Like someone will go acquire land, someone will start laying the bricks, etc., etc. Someone will start procuring, etc. So that is how software used to be made. And then Agile changed that. What does Agile do? What is the Agile philosophy?
So I would say that staying very close with the end user all the time, and then actually and something building things that are useful um, uh, in uh, a short cycles of time, and actually getting that continuous validation from the end users is essentially the whole philosophy of agile. And also that from an end user point of view also, that many times if I would ask end users on the kind of systems that they really want, they know what they want, but they really don't know till they see it and use it, right? And many times they are also figuring out what is useful to them, what is needed based on what you put in front of them, right? And once they see something, it is easy for them to tell you what is working, what is not working, what needs to be changed. I think the agile really brought the IT teams and business teams together, and so that way they are producing stuff um, accurately. I mean, I would say more of what is useful, and because of this entire model, it also allows them. It gives a flexibility to change things. The earlier models didn't give that flexibility. Earlier models expected or assumed that the end users know what they want on day one, and they know it 100%, and with no room for changes.
Okay, that's so true. Yeah. Um, and Agile is essentially like a software production methodology.
Correct.
Okay, okay, okay. Like it is like some series of steps and some best practices of how to produce a software. Okay, understood. Okay, so now what you're talking about as what the quality team does, to me sounds a lot like what, say, a product manager does. Like a product manager is the advocate of the consumer. Like say a company like Zomato would have a product manager who would constantly be thinking in terms of how do I make it easier for the Zomato user to order his favorite dish with the minimum amount of friction. Um, so how is quality engineering different from what a product manager does?
The product manager is basically laying out the overall the business specifications on what the software should do, right? But then actually the quality team is the one that's really checking whether it is doing what it is supposed to do. That's number one. More importantly, it is also checking whether the software is doing what it is not supposed to do as well. So there are many times that there, for example, yeah, the authorization is a big part of a lot of IT systems where there are serious privacy issues. So, like Kalyan, who doesn't have authorization to see something, should not be able to see, right? And is not authorized to do something, should not be able to do it. So essentially, the software test team and the quality team is ensuring whatever the product manager envisioned from an end user point of view, the system is actually in line with those specifications.
Okay, so this sounds like what testing is, right? Essentially, once the product is built, before it goes to a product manager, there's a level of testing done. You spoke of the new way of doing it, where you are involved right from the design stage. So what are those additional things which the quality team does then?
Yeah, I would say that if you're actually testing a product almost towards the end, and actually one could do that without having a serious understanding of, I would say, in-depth understanding of the architecture, design, code, as long as also a lot of the complexities involved in the software processes. But however, by then, as we already talked, it is too late in finding defects, and also it's very expensive to fix those defects. So the whole the new paradigm is all about shift left, right? Basically, you are shifting testing activities early in the life cycle of the IT project, as compared to doing it on the right on the right side of this IT project life cycle. So shifting left actually has a uh, lot of issues. Like now, as a quality engineer within the project, you have to have a real solid understanding of the design and the architecture, because in a true shift left approach, you are not only you don't have a user interface to test. You are actually looking at block diagrams, you are looking at flow charts, and then trying to figure out in what ways it can fail, right? And you are actually looking at these documents, the user stories that are being written, and so you are actually trying to find defects even without a single line of code being written. That requires different skills, that requires true the business skills, architecture skills, design skills. And then as the code is being built up, and even sometimes you don't even have a user interface, you should still be able to find defects within the code. And then there are a lot of sophistication that emerged in this area, where actually you have to, as a test engineers, you have to write code to test code, right? Essentially, somebody is writing code to build the application, now you are writing code to test the code that is being used to build applications. And then gradually it progresses to more of what the user says, really the screens, and then that kind of a thing. So I mean the shift left itself is actually the kind of skills that are needed and the attitude that is needed is completely different from doing things in the end, Akshay, and that presents an enormous opportunity. And why all of this is needed? All of this is needed because you really want to build the system right from the ground up, as opposed to uh, finding them later in the life cycle and then fixing it. This way, I think the cost of quality, all the activities that you do to ensure the overall quality of the product is what it is. Doing this way, I think it saves a huge amount of time and also cost for the enterprises. I mean, that is the reason why it is being done at a very high level.
Okay, interesting. Shift left as a philosophy is very interesting. I'll go into that in detail a little later. Um, so, from what I understand, the way you produce software, and I'm just basing this on what examples you were giving me now. So, it starts with some flowcharts, and then there are user stories. So, what's a user story, and what, like, just take me through these steps, and then there is code. And then there is a front end user interface, and that's how you produce software. Am I right in that basic understanding?
That is correct. I mean, it all the typical IT project. It all starts with say that somebody is designing uh, a reservation system, right, for airlines, right? Then they would basically go about how does a reservation system looks like, and typically it all starts with a word document, right, and probably with few screens on what it should look like. And then you go about explaining the functionality of each screen, and you go about explaining the functionality of each module. And then the people are actually expected to interact with these systems. There are all kinds of users, and then their user, those are basically called user stories, right? And if a like what is the how do I go about making a reservation, and then explaining them in steps. That's one user story. There could be another user story to cancel a reservation. If I want to cancel an existing reservation, how do I go about it? There is a use case for modifying a reservation, the existing reservation. How do you go about doing it? These are all user stories. And then you actually don't go build a system with all these user stories in one step. You would actually then all these user stories are written. Then the IT teams takes this user story as an input, and then probably they would first start building making a reservation. And then as they're done with it, then they would actually go about making sort of changes to the reservations. Those user stories evolve and they get implemented in software one after the other, actually.
Okay. Uh, and these user stories, this is what is like a business requirement document, which
This
includes all
is
of
a
these
more
user
like a
stories.
business requirement, but a lot more. I would say that a lot more concise, and the user story also is supposed to be standalone, that it can actually deliver something useful for an end user. Right, when they say that I'm done with the user story, means that now the users can go and do something about it. They're able to complete a task.
Okay. So the first role of the quality engineer is to actually audit this Word document, which has the user stories, to make sure that the vision. So it all starts with the vision of a product guy, like a product manager or whomsoever, the business guy. So his vision will come in probably like a smaller document, like an executive summary kind of a document, which is the business requirement document, from what I
Yeah,
understand.
like the business case, high level business requirements,
Okay,
kind of.
okay. Then this is converted by somebody in the tech team into these user stories, and that is then audited by the quality person. And then these user stories, one by one, code is written for them, and the front end is made. Uh, and so again, the quality person will audit the code, audit the front end. and make sure that it is aligned with the user stories. So this is how it works.
That's how. And then actually, just to sort of not to complicate, but then typical IT teams, there are, let us say, if you're building a very very complex system, then there are multiple teams that are working on, right? And there is one team that is working on user story one. Probably there is another team that is working on user story two. So it's very typical to have like five teams that are working parallel, 10 teams, 15 teams, 20 teams, and they all, there is some orchestration and coordination that is needed among the teams, that we are actually building things. Ultimately they have to work together at some point in time down the road. And thinking carefully about how they get integrated and when to integrate them, all of that also consumes a lot of brain power of the teams, action.
So each team would have a quality engineer, and then there would be like a quality manager who would look at the orchestration and making sure these things are working together.
Absolutely. They're typically the quality engineers are embedded as part of each of these teams. I mean, they're calling it as a pod, POD, and each pod has a certain roles. There is a Scrum Master, and there is a product manager, developers, and test engineers, UI UX, database engineer, depending on the kind of system that you are building. And so some a team that is sort of self-managed team, and has everything that they need to be able to uh, produce something concrete at the end of each sprint.
What does the Scrum Master do?
Basically the Scrum Master a in a
Like a
typical
project manager.
waterfall, think of Scrum Master as a more of a project manager. Uh,
Okay. Hmm.
but then
Got it.
actually the interactions are almost daily. Teams are sitting next to each other, and they're meeting multiple times a day, but formally at least they're meeting twice a day. uh,
Hmm. Okay. Understood. So that is how software is built through pods, each pod having one quality person. Uh, why is the why is there the need for a standalone quality business then? Because from what I understand, then this pod itself could be like an Infosys providing a pod. So when Infosys gives a pod, they would already give a quality person within that pod. Why is there a standalone quality business existing? And if it is being done in-house, if companies are building their in-house pods by hiring people, then they would again hire a quality engineer in-house. So, uh, what is the need for what you offer?
Sure. Yeah, I think there are two questions there. The one is actually, if the teams are building it in house, why not they have it themselves? That's a great question. So typically, let us say that somebody is embarking uh, on producing a world class product, right? And actually, so there are some that are very core activities. There are non-core activities. The core activity is basically the product manager thinking about the product and addressing a gap that currently exists in the marketplace, that you could exploit. And also then actually having architect to architect this entire IT system in a way that it functions well, it can scale, and it is also the security is built in, and things like that. There are some activities that are very core to product, building a product, right? Uh, 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 if uh, if I was the one that is embarking on something like that, I would actually keep some of those core things within my organization, and then actually have some of the non-core things. It could be UI UX. It could be uh, a tech writer to document all the stuff, or QA engineer to validate the stuff. Um, these are all some of the non-core things, right? I would rather have somebody that does better than me, because you can't do everything world class. It's almost impossible, and because you have a lot of competing priorities. That's where we come in. So we now have the expertise in terms of the people skills, the tools, the latest things, um, while the individual companies are trying to figure out how to write a new sophisticated way of underwriting a risk, and they're thinking about which markets to go exploit, and then what's the next technology that they should be using. And some of these things, they actually want somebody that is thinking about it day in and day out to do that for them. I mean, that's where we come in, Akshay.
Okay. So to like essentially to really have world class quality engineering, it is better to bring in an organization which specializes in quality engineering, because a quality engineer that they deploy in your pod uh, has seen multiple projects in the past across different domains, and so that person brings that to the table.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay. Um, See, while I feel like on paper, yes, but a lot of Indian IT services are run by people who are 1 or 2 years out of college. Uh, is that really something which gets delivered? And how does it get delivered? Like if you're putting someone who's 1 or 2 years out of college as a quality engineer in a team, would that person really have that world class, that ability to do world class quality engineering?
Yeah. So just like anything, Akshay, like the way that we go about the building teams is through a resource pyramid. And I mean, so typically, let's say when we work with a bank or an insurance company, they have the development teams are typically about 200 people, 300 people, 500 people. It can be very large. I'm just talking about within one business unit. And the typical test effort that is being spent is say that if there is $100 that is allocated to a project, and typically, uh, 25, 30, 35% of that budget is allocated for software testing and quality, right?
Wow, that's
And
a massive chunk of the budget.
yeah,
Okay.
yes. And then actually, to for that, you then you go about putting, um, basically thinking about building teams, and then you have people that are project managing the testing activities itself, because the testing itself can be very massive. And there are also people that are architecting. We also have roles like a test architect, just like a system architect. There is also a test architect, somebody that is thinking about how to design test, organize test, execute tests, and things like that. And then you have test leads that are managing teams. And then there are senior engineers. Then there are junior engineers, right? The test leads are the ones that are thinking at a module level and making plans, and senior engineers are the ones that are mostly senior engineers are the ones that are actually uh, developing these manual test cases or automated scripts and executing them, reporting results and things like that. There is a proper resource pyramid that is being built, actually. The ones that you are talking about are the ones that are at the bottom of the pyramid. They
Junior
constitute
engineers.
yeah, they constitute majority of the team, but they themselves cannot think end to end. They are supported by all these mid-level senior teams that are making plans and architecting things and things like that. Actually,
Okay. So that is the edge of outsourcing. That while yes, you would be getting someone who's a year or two out of college, but there is a layer and multiple layers above him which are giving him mentorship, which are giving him a standard operating process to follow, which are giving him tools, which are giving him training, and so on and so forth to ensure world-class quality engineering.
Absolutely. I mean, these are the ones that had seen the world and had seen multiple systems, how they failed, and and also this whole quality engineering is ever evolving because as things are moving to AI, as newer tools are coming, and even the quality engineering and software testing also has to cope up with it, right? Cope up with it, and also do exceedingly well compared to the software development. So there is that all natural push, right? And if you are a product development company or an IT team within the insurance company, your first priority is making sure that am I getting my designers, my developers, my architects, are they using these some of the latest and greatest? And then for some of the non-core things like software testing and others, can I work with a company that is already thinking about these things and probably can do better than what we can do internally? Because no insurance company is at the top people. Their engineers are not getting out from the bed and then thinking about how do I create a best the world class QE practices within the company. They are thinking about their business because that is what their edge is. But actually we are thinking about latest and greatest QE tools, processes, technologies. That's what we are thinking, and that thought process and expertise is what we are able to offer to a set of clients. Actually,
Is so testing easier, therefore it pays less,
I,
or
I
what
think
is?
it is. I think it is easier to get started, but not to become an expert, right? It is. I think it looks easy from a distance, and also probably there are less entry barriers to get into this profession. But then,
Entry barriers in the sense that a
uh,
coder
like
needs
uh,
to have proficiency
yeah,
in the
like
language.
somebody without coding knowledge also can get in.
Okay. So you don't need to
You,
be proficient in some coding language to be a
correct.
tester. Therefore, entry barrier is lower. Okay.
Entry barrier is low.
So essentially, it's more about logic, common sense. It's more of those skills like general aptitude and
Yes,
code. Okay.
correct.
Analytical skills, things like.
Correct.
Okay. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
So this sounds like the perfect role for AI to replace.
Yeah, yes, I mean, even now, even if you look at it, even the software coding, I think there are people that are announcing it right there that 30 to 40%
Yes.
of the code is written by machines and things like that. But
Yes.
yes,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
there is the some of these activities that are typically done by the software test engineer, quality engineer. They can be done by some of these AI much faster and also with reasonable accuracy, I would say. And actually, we were the first ones to see it. So we started seeing this almost about a year before, and then we developed something called as a company Cummentis AI. Cummentis AI is basically a quality engineering AI platform that actually has 16 different features, and each feature addresses a task of a that is done in the typical software testing lifecycle. This task could be reviewing user stories with the intention of finding defects. The task could be generating manual test cases from user stories. The task could be executing automated test. The task could be doing a defect analysis. The task could be doing a risk analysis, things like that. So we actually have built a platform, and I wouldn't necessarily say that it could replace an engineer that is out there. And think of it as a more like a Cummentis AI is like a co-pilot for a software test engineer. and so some sort of an expert assistant sitting next to you and helping you do your tasks. Right now I would say more quickly, but less accurately. But accuracy is improving every day as more and more you use it. I think the accuracy gets better.
Okay. So essentially, what maybe three test engineers were doing earlier now two can do with the help of these AI tools.
I would say right now we're at about probably 25 to 30% productivity improvement.
Okay.
Actually,
Hmm.
is more like
So
that. Probably
from
about,
five, it's come down to four, like
yeah,
what five engineers
five
were
to
doing now
two, five
four.
to three. Yeah, that
Okay.
kind.
Okay. 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 Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. And but I guess the need for hiring freshers as the biggest chunk would come down, right? Because now that you have AI to do a lot of grunt work, typically freshers are hired for grunt work, right? The work which is not so intellectual, where you which now AI can do, and so one senior test engineer can achieve more with an AI agent than he could achieve with a team of two juniors under him.
That is right, Akshay. I think the activities, typically, as the activities that are less intensive and then more effort intensive are the ones that are typically done by the junior engineers in any team, right? And actually AI sort of can do those activities really well. I mean, yes, it does put a lot of pressure on engineers to sort of move beyond doing this grunt work, as you said. It definitely is putting pressure on them to move up in the skill levels that they have.
Is this changing your hiring strategy? Are you hiring less freshers or like?
I would say that we are. It will not change the strategy per se for us. I think probably the amount of time that we need to invest in training them on our platform, and because now the tasks, the initial tasks, or the initial activities that are expected to perform in the project have moved up. So maybe a bit more training is needed for them, uh, rather than actually changing the hiring strategy, actually. Because of the platform that we had built, because we built our own platform, so probably the number of training days on this platform will be higher.
Okay, okay, interesting. So you build this with a like through an API integration with a large language model. Is that how you built it? How did you build?
Correct. Correct. We have built this, which is the platform that when we actually started off like any other thing, then actually we were eating our own dog food. I mean, we are trying it out in our projects, and that turned out quite well, useful, and we experimented with friendly clients. We did POCs, and the feedback is phenomenal. So we are now going all out in the production. Also, parallelly, we are also upgrading the system that we have built to the enterprise level, and so that way, like, we are able to sort of allocate clean separation of the projects from multiple different clients, teams, and the authorization security is fully built in, and also that making it LLM independent, that actually uh, the clients can choose on the LLMs that they could use at the back end, and also a mechanism for them to feed their own documents, and so that they can effectively implement RAG. uh, Akshay.
Okay. Which LLM did you find to be the best for this?
Yeah, right now the GPT seems to be good
OpenAI. Okay.
for software and quality engineering. Yeah. Um,
Okay. I had heard Gemini was like the most recent model of Gemini was really good at software
yeah.
coding,
Yes.
etc.
These are very fast changing. Even
Yeah, it's a fast-moving field.
Grok is also getting better. Um,
Okay.
uh, right. It's getting better as well, especially on the technology front. But then actually, when we started, it was all GPT, so that's what we started doing it. But then now we're making it LLM independent, because the way that we work these things also, we also want to offer this platform to our clients, and then so that they could use, because whatever that we build, it has to be a combination of software testing, the technologies that they are using, and also the industry vertical domain that they are into, right? So it is, we still don't know which LLM will dominate which industry verticals yet. I think that will take some time. So all we can do is stay neutral and have this platform work as an LLM neutral, so that actually we can then pivot whichever way that we want to go in the future.
You use the term RAG. What does that mean?
It's basically that actually when you ping an LLM with a question, it comes back to you with a response, and then actually that response can be augmented with your own knowledge based on your internal systems. So then you combine both of them for a much more effective response, right? The one that the response that is coming from a LLM, and you adding based on your internal knowledge, that whole thing is basically you are augmenting the response that LLM gave you with your own internal knowledge that you have, Akshay,
Okay.
and
Understood.
which you
Okay.
don't want to expose to the others, because that could be uh, your differentiator,
Proprietary.
and you don't
Your
want
IP.
others to know about it.
Hmm. Okay. Why don't you just so you are earning your unit of revenue is a man hour so far?
Yes,
Uh,
it is tied to hours, correct.
so which is why then you don't want to sell this AI agent as a bundled service, because how do you do man hours when it's an AI agent, and therefore you're pricing this as a uh, separately
Yeah,
priced offering.
currently we are not even pricing it separately, Akshay. We actually are giving it as a value add to our clients. I think we are at a point where actually we just we are giving it as a no cost value add to our clients. We would like to.
The, wouldn't this hit your billable hours? Because if
Oh
your
yes,
uh, quality
yeah.
engineers are more productive, like three people doing the work of five people, so that means revenue loss
Actually,
thanks
you
to
gain
AI.
a lot more compared to what you lose. You
How?
uh, because actually the project that we are working on, we may lose, but then we will gain several more projects. We are able to do it much more efficiently compared to the other vendors that are there in the client organization, or their own teams, and gradually we will get more and more work. Not only we get more work, we are able to do it more efficiently, and I think the stickiness also with the client will improve. So I would say that organizations that has very large test teams that are doing manual functional testing activities, like I wouldn't name the biggie names, but you can guess who they are. And I think it poses a lot more risk to them than to us, because you know we probably don't even have 1% of the entire testing market right now. We probably are at about you know 0.75% or 0.5% of the entire testing market is with us. So I mean, either we can look at this point 0.5 and then see what do we lose, or we can look at 99.5 and then see how much is there to gain.
Fascinating. I do remember reading somewhere that in these kind of situations where there is massive change of technology, it's the not the downstream users of the technology, but the technology companies themselves who capture most of the value, because the downstream users kind of, the one would think that you would have more margin because AI is making you more productive, so you need less people, but then the competitive pressures kind of are at play, and therefore the most value is captured by the arms dealers are the ones who are capturing the value in an arms race, basically.
Correct, correct. Yeah, and also that if we don't do it, somebody else will
Right,
do
yeah,
it
right.
anyway.
That competitive dynamic
Yeah,
prevents
yeah,
you from increasing your margin as
correct.
a result of more efficiency. Got it. Interesting. Very interesting. Okay.
And it also
Uh,
makes it so much easy to go and
hmm,
ask for a price increase as well, especially if you improved efficiency. That is a much easier discussion
hmm,
compared to that I'd spent 2 years and then I didn't get a rise.
hmm. How do price escalations normally happen? Are they baked into a contract? Like when you sign a contract, you get X dollars per man hour for year one, and then X into $1.1 in year two, or like how does it happen?
The price increases are sometimes they're part of the contract and sometimes they are not. And even if they are part of the contract, we still need to take concurrence from the client and make sure that they're okay with it. That's number one, because I would say that much of the uh, I mean you I think the way that at least we manage is basically becoming more and more efficient from year over year, as opposed to getting these rate increases. Because if you do these rate increases like consecutively for 3 4 years, you will essentially get priced out of the market. That's a serious risk that you will run into. So I think the best strategy is to basically how could we offer a higher value for the same price as much as possible. I think price increase of 2%, 3% are pretty common in the industry. But if you try to do anything more than that, if you do that say 4 or 5 times, you'll get priced out.
Okay, okay. It sounds like a really cutthroat industry. Uh, like 2% price increase each year. A lot of competitors are eyeing the business that you are getting from the client.
Yeah, I mean, and also depending on the clients that you are working with, there are some clients that are price buyers, and there are clients that are value buyers, right? And you will very soon find out. I mean, once you step into the relationship, start working with them, it's a matter of 2 3 years that you know who is whom, because everybody tells you that they're all value buyers, but they're not.
Okay,
Right.
okay.
And depending on whom you are dealing with, I guess we really need to adjust ourselves. And uh, I think it's easy to, I would say, if you want to build a long term sustainable organization, it's better to work with value buyers, because they are constantly pushing you to do better, right? Whereas the price buyers are consistently pushing you to lower the quality of work that we do, and which is not really interesting after a period of time.
Hmm. Okay, interesting. So like the real demanding customers who make your life miserable are the customers that you
Are the
should
ones
really
that,
try and.
yes, yes, yeah, the ones that are really good, that are really pushing it, like the one that you talked about, right? Like, yes, I mean, yeah, all that is great, but then if I have a 10-member team, can you do this the same amount of work? Assume that the work is not expanding, can you do it with 8 people? I think that's a great discussion, because then that keeps you thinking about optimization and tools, technologies, and everything, as opposed to somebody that just asking you to reduce the price, and you know uh, there any option that you take to reduce the price is not helping in the long run,
Mm. Okay.
for them and
Okay.
also for us, for the client and also for the service provider.
Mm. Mm. Okay. 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 Interesting. Okay. So one aspect of AI is AI replacing or making quality engineers more productive. The other aspect of AI is how does AI change the fundamental nature of quality? Do you also do quality engineering on AI itself, or like what are the implications of that for your
Yeah,
quality engineers?
yeah, that's a great question. We recently won an engagement with an insurance company where actually they actually have built systems on the latest LLMs and chatbots. Now we are being involved to test those systems, so which is essentially testing
So
systems that are
you're testing for hallucination. Like the big
correct.
problem with AI is hallucination. Like it gives wrong information.
Correct.
If it can't find an answer, then it will bullshit its way into an answer. So you are testing for that?
So yes, we are testing for that. We now started testing systems that are built using LLM systems, where the stuff that you talked about, hallucination, and also that, I mean, for example, the systems that were built so far without AI were like, you feed in 10 different values into a system, and then actually there is only one right output, right, majority of the time, and the and then you get that, it's pass. You don't get it, it's a fail. But now the AI systems don't work like that. They work on a range of outcomes, and then also accuracy levels and all of that. So it poses different challenges, Akshay, and
Is there a risk of a product replacing you? You are essentially a services business and you charge per man hour or per man day or something to that effect. You could have a pure product company come in and eat your lunch. Do you see that happening?
mm, I mean, there is. I would say that right now also, as part of the service, we use many different tools. Not everything that is being done by us is all manual. So there are a lot of different tools that are being used. If and I think the role of platform or a tool in the quality engineering space going forward, uh, will continue to go up. However, there are some tasks, uh, like planning, strategy, and thinking, and reporting, with some added insights, things like that will always be there, Akshay. But yes, I mean, there is always that risk of tools uh, sort of start taking over some of your activities. But I don't see a scenario where actually the tool replacing all the activities that are performed by the quality engineers. Uh, I mean, you can never say never, but the possibilities are extremely rare.
Okay. Um, Possibly the SMB market could be served through a tool, I guess. Maybe not the enterprise market. And this is typically how tools evolve, right? Like, say, Canva as a design tool or Figma as a design tool all had like SMB adoption before enterprise adoption. And my other counter here to you is that uh, could you be constrained by your experience and your I mean, you have a lot at stake in terms of the fact that humans cannot be replaced. I mean, your business runs on that, right? Could that be biasing your take, your view that products will not replace humans?
Yeah. So yeah, that could be there. But however, even internally, the way that we have started differentiating ourselves since the inception of the company is to build tools, utilities, platforms, accelerators to continue to disrupt ourselves. So that had been the motto, right? So we are always challenging ourselves and building a tool or utility to do what we are doing. So so internally also we are pushing it as more and more clients are demanding for us to become more efficient and more innovative. So we certainly cannot escape from that. And also that for the kind of work that we do, we also stay in touch with the clients almost on a daily basis. And some of the decisions around their investments in tools and all that, majority of the time they are joint, but we also have clients that they go and do on their own as well. So yes, I mean, even if you resist uh, uh, some of these genuinely possible genuine improvements because of the tools getting involved, I think our competition will pick it up. We would rather disrupt ourselves rather than allow our competition actually disrupt us. That's the motto of how we think about things, actually.
Okay, understood. What is an accelerator? And I had a short stint in a services business. I do believe for services businesses, this is one of the ways to differentiate themselves by having accelerators. Can you help me understand what is an accelerator and how do services and particularly IT services companies use this as a differentiator?
Yeah, sure, sure. Actually, so as I mean, SAP mm, is a fairly popular and one of the most used product that is out there. And it is used to basically to run multiple different processes within the enterprise. And for example, uh, a large enterprise has implemented SAP, and they have automated their entire say like their purchase and payment processes to be run through SAP. So every organization is different on their own, but not so different as well. So what we would see is that typically about 80% of the processes are common, even among within different industries as well. So the accelerator is something that we have a pre-built manual test cases and also automated test scripts to validate to validate these processes. So when actually somebody, a large enterprise client, is approaching us to test the processes for which we already have the pre-built accelerators, in a sense, 80% of uh, the work could be done with already the pre-built and ready to go kind of test assets are already available with us. And there is always customization, that every organization is different. To that extent only, we really need to customize and change things. So I would say having an accelerator, it gives you that jump start that is needed, because you don't have to build it from the ground up. And another thing is that you use accelerator multiple times in different contexts, it gets better. So you are actually using something that is actually used many times and sort of tried it with many different clients. So the possibility of it actually working out is really really high.
Okay. And does this also save man hours for the client, their billable hours?
Yes,
Because
yes,
okay,
it could save, I would say, as much as 40 to 50% of the overall testing hours that need to be spent in a large program.
okay.
Actually,
But you would offer this free of cost because it's more important for you to win the client rather than monetize
Yes,
the
that
accelerator.
is absolutely right. I mean,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah.
Okay, okay, okay. Very interesting. And you have like an internal team which is maintaining these accelerators, improving them each time they're used, or is it the operations team only which does it?
So the operations teams, they can get involved, but their amount of involvement could be limited because their time is spent on the client projects. They don't have the kind of bandwidth that is needed to build it. So we have something called centers of excellence, uh, and which is basically an in-house team that is staffed with dedicated resource, and they are the ones uh, that are working on these things, Akshay. And typically, the centers of excellence that we have in the company are we have uh, particular service type. Like we have a centers of excellence for performance testing, for security testing, and we also have um, centers of excellence for domains as well, for any industry vertical like insurance, retail, travel. And we also have centers of excellence uh, based on the technologies, like we have centers of excellence for DevOps, for AI, and things like that. So centers of excellence is really three different three different angles that we take.
Okay, interesting. In your wage bill, what is the billed to unbilled ratio? So you would have like billed resources which are directly being chargeable man hours being generated by them, and then you have these centers of excellences which are like unbilled resources, right? So what's typically the ratio? Like,
So if I mean, we are not very different from every other IT services company that is out there, actually. So but of course, since we are still young and growing at a very high pace, our utilization ratios are I would say probably by 5 percentage points lower compared to um, the companies that are already big in size, like 10,000 people, 15,000
but
people.
what is that
uh,
number? I'm not
so our
aware of.
utilization would be about 75%.
Okay.
It
So
it can it can
25% of the
vary.
headcount is in centers of excellences, building accelerators, or sales, marketing, these kind of
Yeah,
roles.
I would say that also that many of them, some of them are also being working as buffers in the projects, to actually to provide coverage people that are going on vacations. And also there would be times where actually mm, we also need this kind of a capacity uh, to deal with some unanticipated events like risks in the project. And we also need especially we also need a certain amount of people that are waiting to be deployed with all kinds of designations, right? Like a representative of the teams that we typically deploy to our clients. So it's basically it's our some of the bench also to really to get going with the client projects sooner than later.
Okay, okay. And this you're saying
And
in
like you said, some R&D activities and COEs, and they're
uh,
also part of this.
okay, okay, okay. And this you said in large organizations is 80%. What currently for you is
About 80, yeah.
okay,
It's anywhere between 80 to 85. An organization like us, it is more of 70 to 75.
okay, okay. And how much is the monthly billable amount for one headcount? that you charge?
Yeah, again, it sort of varies based on each role, and we actually, I mean, as a company, it's anywhere between the most junior person, which is basically software test engineer in a team, and all the way up to like a program manager, right? And anybody in between, like a test lead and test architects, and, and architect and things like that. So at an offshore, it could be anywhere between $25 all the way up to 45, 50, right?
This is per man
And
hour.
per man hour.
Okay.
At on-site, this could be, it could start from say 75, 80, and it could go all the way up to 140, 150, right? So I would say that as a company, we are right in the middle. I mean, we are not we are not the lowest price providers, but at the same time, we are not charging the most premium provider as well. I would say that we are right in between, and actually where we like to think that we are sort of, that's where you can provide the highest value for the money.
So, what what percentage of your revenue is the wage bill? Is that the biggest head in, like?
Yeah, this is several of the engagements that we do right now. They're all based on T&M, time and material mode. That's right, and that, I mean, we do have a few milestone based and fixed bid kind of projects, but they're relatively both in terms of the effort and also the revenue contribution is very less. I would say single digits. So majority of the revenue is T&M, and that is also because of the way that we want to work with our clients. We would like clients to work with us on a long-term basis as their extended long-term strategic quality engineering partner. So which means that just like the way you work with your internal team, as the priority change and as the direction changes as a company, then you are able to move them to other projects and quite quickly. So it is the same model that we follow. So I would say in majority of the times, the way that we work is that uh, we are working with organizations as their extended team. So the projects that we work keeps changing. I think in from that perspective, I think T&M makes the most sense.
So, I want to understand the margin profile of this business. So, say you, hypothetically, if you do $50 million of revenue in the current financial year, uh, can you break it down? How much would be your wage bill for a $50 million revenue? How much would be other expenses? What kind of margin would there be?
So in IT services companies, there are no real expenses outside of salaries, right? And so I would say majority of the expense is basically the wages for the consultants and employees, or basically call them as associates, right? And
What is the percentage number like?
yeah, I would say the typical gross margin of the gross margin of the IT services companies is anywhere between um, 30 to 40, and there are companies that are doing above 40, but then I guess you'd see very small amount of companies that are hitting 44, 45. So that's the gross margin, I would say. In terms of the total wage bill for all the associates and consultants, I think it would probably about 70% of the revenue would be in terms of the wage bill.
Uh, you said 40% is the margin, so that means 60% is left. Of the 60%, you're saying 70% is the wage bill.
Yeah, the what I'm saying is that if you take the total. I mean, not everybody is billing and getting the revenue for you, right? And we also have people that are in non-billing roles. But uh, if you typically look at the P&L of a IT services company, you have revenue coming in, and there are people that are directly uh, contributing to the revenue by actually spending all their hours working for clients. And so if you look at those hours, those costs, then the gross margin is typically about 40%. And then actually there are then if you go down the P&L, then you'd actually have people that are actually supporting the individuals that are working in these projects in terms of the management support and tech leadership support and things like that. Then you also have people that are not billing, like we talked. The over the bench count, and that's one layer, right, which probably is about up to 5 percentage points. And then you have the biggest the head is going to be the sales and uh, sales, marketing, pre-sales, all these costs, which is typically called as S&M. And the S&M is also in the industry. It varies based on your growth. I mean, if you are growing at about 25-30%, then the S&M needs to be as much as 10, 11, 12. It can go as high as 14% as well. And then you have G&A. And the last time that I took a look at it, of the typical IT services companies, it's probably about um, 7, 7, 8, 9, 10. Essentially, your a lot of it is really your rental costs, or that kind of physical infrastructure that is needed for the people to work. And then of course the support function costs. And you know, that's how the typical P&L of an IT services company actually.
So typical EBITDA would be about 20% or so, I guess.
Yeah, it depends. I would say that it's a large spectrum, based on, and also depends on the type of service that you are offering, and also that the rate at which you are growing, the revenue growth, and also the quality of the revenue, and also how optimized your internal operations are, especially in the context of economies of scale. I would say it is anywhere between 12, all the way up to 25%. But then that's the range you are dealing with, Akshay.
Okay, understood. Okay, understood. Do you only sell to US companies, or do you also sell to Indian companies? Is there a market for these services in India?
Yeah, there is a market for these companies in India as well. However, the mm, the India is a tough market, because you get your revenue in rupees, and you spend your money in rupees. And so the margins are fairly low. And also even even your Indian clients also have access to the same talent pool that you also have access to. So the margins are pretty low. Of course, there is an opportunity to do business in India. And right now we do have a few clients in India, but we mostly do that business to build capabilities in certain areas, and also to have some solid case studies that we can showcase it to US clients, actually. Yeah.
Okay, got it. Okay. I want to end our conversation with a little philosophical discussion on quality. Um, what is the uh, how do you make out if a product, and particularly we can talk of software product, is built with quality or lacks quality? Like, is there a way to look at a product and form an opinion about the level of quality thinking that went behind the product or the uh,
Yeah, I would say that many times the quality is that you would actually perceive the lack of quality more quickly than the existence of quality, like with anything. So that is one, and also that you know what we had seen as the industry right now is that a lot of these quality engineering teams, they are playing the role of an sort of an upstream co-maker, meaning that a lot of testing activities are shifting left. They are working with development teams hand in hand to build the quality into the product, as opposed to improving it by testing it out later on, right? And so which is essentially the mentality of a downstream subcontractor. So if you really look at by philosophy wise, so do you want to be a downstream subcontractor, where the software is being thrown at you over the wall, and then actually you are now challenged with finding everything that you could and then throw it back? That's one way of doing it. Another way is actually just doing it together, even before a single line of code is being written. So I think there was some report, I just can't recollect the whole thing, but then it just talk about the amount of money that was lost in the economy by not testing the software products adequately. So it was a huge amount. It's like 500 billions or so.
wow,
So
this is like a
what
global number or for India
it's
or
a, it's a global number.
okay. Mm.
It was a global number. So what it still means is that the ROI of testing it early and testing it often and also testing it thoroughly is humongous, and that is the reason. Even if you look at it, if you read some of the reports, it clearly shows that the amount of the rate at which the quality engineering, the spend on quality engineering is growing is a 2x compared to the investment that is happening on software development. So my sense is that it is still underinvested. uh, Everybody knows the importance of it, but however and they are doing, I mean, every other company recognizing this fact, and they are investing. But even after this investments, it is still not enough, and that is the reason why actually I think it will continue to grow at a much higher pace compared to the software development, actually.
Okay, interesting. How do you build an organization which has quality in its DNA? Like, where everybody cares about quality.
Yeah, it's a very difficult thing, and I think it's more of I think it's more of a mindset. And I guess the companies that are more client centric, uh, uh, I think they do a good job of building the DNA of the company to focus on quality, than actually you are seeking something else. I think uh, you can have all sorts of philosophies and methodologies, but what I had seen it working is that uh, if you're client centric, I guess naturally you tend to do um, high quality work, and actually you take your deliverables a lot more seriously, you take your interactions a lot more seriously, you plan for them, you strategize for them, and I think that's the best way to build that the quality as part of the DNA of the organization actually.
Are Indian companies more quality conscious or Chinese companies?
I haven't actually the industry that I'm in IT services. There are not a lot of Chinese companies that are operating in this space. I would say that majority of the quality engineering in IT, the companies are uh, they're from Europe and India and US. I haven't seen um, like companies that are of a decent scale coming from China
I mean,
yet.
China is obviously a manufacturing exporter, whereas
Yes,
India is a services exporter.
correct.
That fundamental difference is there, but generally speaking, in terms of the organization DNA, do you think that obsession for quality as an organization DNA is more in Indian companies or more in Chinese companies? And I mean, feel free to tell me that that you're not the right person to ask this if you think that is the case. But I'm just
No,
generally.
yeah, yeah. I would say if I had to give my opinion, that even a lot of processes and practices that are used in software quality are essentially borrowed from manufacturing industry.
Yes.
I mean, a lot of these the Japanese manufacturing quality techniques are actually the ones that are used in even in the software quality. So I would say that even internally we say that we have this slogan that says uh, trust the process, results will come, right? And so I would say that if I mean, they definitely have that edge, right? If companies from China has to make an entry into quality, I think their pedigree of doing building something in the manufacturing space will definitely give them an edge for sure.
Hmm. Okay. Uh, As a country, do you think India is has a DNA of quality?
Yes, I think that
I mean, generally the perception in the world is that Indian products are of inferior quality, right? So that's why people want to buy imported stuff, etc., etc.
but I think when it comes to software and assuring quality of these the products or the applications that is built by the enterprises, I definitely see the work ethic and in general wanting to do a better job is definitely increasing, Akshay, in the IT services space. But I guess in terms of the tangible real world products that we use day in day to day, I guess there is still a scope to improve.
Okay, okay, understood. Let me end by asking you for some advice for future entrepreneurs. Somebody who today in 2025 is planning to start a business. Do you have any uh, recommendations in terms of what are the opportunities to look at? What should be things to keep in mind when you're starting a business? Anything at all from your end?
Yeah, I would say that somebody that is wanting to start something, always start with, mm, I would say that an idea that you are very passionate about, because because not everything may go the way that you want it to go. And during those times, I think if you're deeply passionate about something, I think you will give it a lot more time, for it to work. And uh, that is definitely one. And number two is that I think you have to be really honest to yourself about, you know are are we doing this better than some of the existing players, right? Especially, always think about the value for money. Could we provide more value compared to the other existing players, and really hone in on the differentiation aspect is important. And I would say third thing is that, uh, you know basically that you need to have paying clients. And so identifying them very early on, even without identifying those uh, well wisher and friendly, kind of a category of the clients, at least two three of them, before you jumping all into it, uh, would definitely help you a lot. I mean, these are some of the things, uh, people have to think about, generally speaking. I mean, do we need to check all the boxes? May not be, but the more boxes I think that you check, I think the better chances of success, Akshay.
Okay. Thank you so much for your time, Kalyan. It was a real pleasure.
Okay, thank you, Akshay. Thank you very much.